Well, absolutely. I mean, look, it's been a very long year and a tough year, to be honest with you. It's been a really tough year. And I think that is felt by a lot of people. You know, there's something in the air, if you like. And I think a lot of people this year have been through a lot of personal challenges. And a lot of men, I know in particular, have been through a lot of personal challenges, a lot of identity challenges as well that have come up. And I think these are impacting us like more culturally, widely as well. But it's just important to note that, you know, this is November. And I'm actually reminded that Movember, do you remember Movember? It still happens, but it's just not as popular as it once was. It's the idea where men used to grow their mustaches in November in aid of, you know, raising awareness for men's mental health and other health issues. And also November is statistically the month in the year where most men either get depression, seek help for depression, or even worse, end up taking their lives. And it typically because it's, you know, this is the breaking point of the year, to be honest with you. So I just want to give a word of encouragement, which is that, you know, if you've made it this far, then you've done a good job. You know, I know that there's a particular season. I think this year's been really tough. A lot of people have been through a lot of things, and there's been a weight to it. And what I will say as well is, particularly when the weather switches in the UK, we notice it now. As Brits, we're sort of used to bad, miserable weather, but obviously I feel like we've had a relatively good summer, and so that does lift up moods. Vitamin D does a lot for the human, as you know. But when we're coming out of that now, it's getting really cold now. I just think it's really easy for people, and men in particular, to start to feel depressed, start to feel weighed down, start to feel heavy at this time of year. And often as well, with what's coming up, Christmas is either a really good time of year or a really bad time of year. And I think this is for most people. You know, there's a lot of anticipation about Christmas. There's a lot of weight to it as well. There's a financial strain to Christmas. You know, oftentimes, even those with the best of jobs, there's like a gap between pay. You know, it's the longest time of year you go without pay, essentially, because you're paid early before Christmas, and then, of course, you're paid normal time in January. So there's like a 6 weeks period. And so January tends to be quite difficult for a lot of people as well, coming out of Christmas and all of that stuff. Also, you know, if you've got any family issues that are going on, Christmas can just generally be a very sensitive time. And so for anyone that might be considering that, thinking about that, or even feeling anxious about that, first of all, I just want to remind you that you've made it this far. And with all of the challenges that you've faced this year and all of the things that have come against you, the difficulties, you've still made it this far. What I will say is, try not to allow yourself to live in a space where you are going to feel anxious about things that have not yet happened. Now, I know that you may have the right to, and you've probably got a proven track history of why you feel like you're able to feel that way. But if that is going to happen to you, then just allow it to happen when it does. Don't allow yourself to be tormented or tortured in the now for something that hasn't even yet materialized. Also, where possible, take lead on Christmas, you know, and that might mean taking lead to be by yourself, to be with family, to see a certain individual, to not see a certain individual, but just try to take the lead a little bit, because it will give you a sense of ownership over it, and it will give you a sort of an expected outcome of what to, again, expect during the season of Christmas. If you have such really high expectations and they're constantly being disappointed, then perhaps it's time to lower your expectations. And so, yeah, just a word of encouragement to people, men, again, in particular, that have made it this far. You're doing really well. You've done really well. It's been a tough year. And, you know, for you to still be on your feet at this point in time is just amazing. And it's testimony to how strong you actually are and how resilient you are, even though it may not feel that way. So I want you to know that from the start. But again, what I would try to allude to is that as a man, this is expected. Okay, I want to reinforce that, so you understand, if you feel heavy, if you feel tired, you're not alone. All right, others may wear it differently. They may, their faces may not even show it, their pockets, their finances may not even show it. But it's not to say that it's not impacting us in some way. If you're raising a family, if you're a single father, you know, like I am, and you're doing that can be heavy, particularly when, again, you've made it through the year, which includes the kids' birthdays and, you know, all the family events that you've had to deal with, and all of those, particularly potentially even issues with your ex-partner, if that's where you're coming from. Do you know what I mean? And so to have made it through another year, 2025, it felt like, and this is my personal thing, it felt like the year started with such promise. It's 2025. It's got such a nice ring to it. But it very quickly turned out to be a very heavy, slow, and, for me, a year where I've had to learn a lot about myself. I'm still learning a lot about myself. I'm still not necessarily comfortable with everything I'm learning about myself, but I'm also learning to be more comfortable with what I am discovering about who I actually am, and to be okay in my own skin. And that's not to excuse myself of things which I could improve upon, but it's just being okay with the fact that I'm not perfect, and, addressing the issues I can address, and the things that are within my control to actually do something about. And so that is something I want to just impress on you for 2026 as well. You're not in control of anyone else. You can only control yourself and what you're about, and the things, and again, even that is quite limited, to be honest with you. So change your expectations. Keep your energy up, keep your circles up. Now is the time of year, and I do endorse this, to try and be sociable. Even if it's with one or two people, just try to be a little bit more sociable than you usually are, and try to connect with people. Community is really important around Christmas. And if it's not something that you necessarily celebrate, given the fact that we're in winter and things are, getting colder, eventually people will slow down. Things tend to pick up for a lot of businesses around this time of year, so you might also be inundated with work and heavy schedules, but it will calm down. And so prepare for that, make space for that, basically. If you're on your own and you're doing this all by yourself, then again, just try to put your head up and try to go along to a community event. This is the church in particular does a lot of this sort of time of year in terms of trying to bring in community and impact the community. So just go along to an event. It doesn't have to be something that you intend to stay at all day or all night, but just be a participant this year if you're not. Get the plan to get your health up for next year. Get the plan to get your health in and prioritize that. I think if you are a parent, a single parent, if you are a spouse, a partner to someone, the idea is that we want longer life, overall, and a healthier life as well. Not just longer life, but a healthier life. And I think the mindset of exercising and just taking care of what you eat a little bit, it metaphysically changes you, and it physically changes you. They say you are what you eat, for example. So let's just take more mindfulness over things like that. But again, just the message here really is one of encouragement. I want to just say you've done well to make it this far. I'm not going to overdo it, like you haven't got to get up and go to work or do your thing tomorrow and this is now your reward. But what I'm saying is go forward, like just keep going. Keep doing what you're doing. It might be the time to let some things go in life. It might be the time of season to let some people go, some relationships go, some hashtags that you follow go. It might be that time, yeah? It might be time to refresh your feed, refresh who you're listening to, music-wise, refresh what you're taking in. It might be the time of season to read more and watch less. I don't know, but what I'm saying is if you find yourself in a position where you feel slightly stagnant or weary, then now might be the time also to kind of address some things that you would like to see change for next year. Don't get me wrong, this is the time of year where things do tend to start to feel heavy, but we can also prepare ourselves and be mindful of that for next year. It might be just planning a holiday in October next year, so by the time you hit November you feel refreshed and everything's going to be all right for the next couple of months. It might also mean being more mindful of your spend over the winter holidays. If you're ahead of it now, wicked. If not, then just make sure that by the time you hit September next year you're putting some money aside so you ain't got to ride the same cold train throughout Christmas. So yeah, single dads, keep doing what you're doing. Arrange as much time with the kids over Christmas as possible. Obviously, if you've got arrangements, and if you don't have arrangements more particularly, try to get ahead of that now. Try to get something in writing if things aren't civil. It may not protect you if you don't have an agreement or an arrangement, but it's just better to have things in writing, and lean towards civility, lean towards trying to not instigate more trouble, particularly at this time of year. Again, Christmas is around the corner, so people are cancelling plans as much as they're making them. And yeah, just try to also, lastly, try to just be of something to your community, be of something to someone else, assistance, help, aid, love, whatever. I mean, this time of year, and I'm saying this as someone that's also going through stuff, trying to help other people go through stuff, is that helping people go through stuff is something that helps you go through your stuff. Right. And it means if treat others as you would like others to treat you, kind of thing. You know, the more you're open to putting out, the likelihood is the more open you are to receiving as well. So keep doing what you're doing. Keep going. Stay strong. Stay focused. Forgive yourself. Give yourself a break. You know, you need to have a moment of nothing as well, all right? And indulge in some Christmas festivities, movies, all of that stuff. Do all of that. But just well done. You've come this far. You've got a little bit further to go in terms of 2025. And I just encourage you to stay on top of things. Keep those that you love close to you. And again, where possible, now is also the time of year to try and let some of the things that have sat on you this year go, right? You've been impacted by some stuff psychologically, potentially physically. It's time for some of those things for you to let them go and for you to move on as well.